The Saucony Xodus Ultra is a shoe designed to go long, to go ultra distances, you might say. But does it actually do it and do it well? Well, hopefully this review will answer those questions. Let's get to it. First, I do need to let you know that Saucony did send the Xodus Ultra to me to review. I did not pay for these. They're not gonna preview this footage and tell me what to say. I'm gonna say the honest truth, just like I always do. With that disclosure out of the way, let's go ahead and get straight into the stats of the Saucony Xodus Ultra. First off, it is a neutral trail running shoe. There is a fair amount of twist to it. Wow, I'm actually kind of surprised with how much that's twisting. It twists a lot, but it is not unstable. We'll get to that in just a little bit. Before we move on though, if this video is helpful, is helping you make some decisions about the Xodus Ultra, scroll down, click that thumbs up button, give the video a like. It does help out a lot and I would really appreciate it. And the stack height of the Xodus Ultra is one of those places we see a difference from the Xodus 11. So in the rear of the Xodus Ultra, we've got 32.5 and in the front we have 26.5 for a 6mm drop. So the Ultra is actually 1mm higher in the rear and 1mm lower in the front for a 6mm drop. The Xodus 11 was a 4mm drop, so we've got a 2mm difference there. So that's only one of the changes in the Xodus Ultra versus the Xodus 11. If you want to see the full review of the Xodus 11, top right corner, go ahead and take a look at that. Next, another big difference, and probably the biggest difference of the two shoes, is the weight. So that's a huge savings in the shoe, and there's a couple ways they did that, which we'll get to as we talk about the midsole and the upper. But the weight, men's size 11 of the Xodus Ultra weighed in at 10.7 ounces or 304 grams, which is a really good weight shoe. I mean, that is maximally cushioned, pretty aggressive lugs, designed for those ultra distance. That's a really good weight for that type of shoe. The Xodus 11 and a men's size 11 weighed in at 13 ounces. So if you're keeping track at home, that's over 2 ounces lighter. Just absolutely incredible weight savings in the shoe, and you can totally feel it underfoot, and I'll get to more of that in just a moment. One other stat I want to talk about real quick is the lug depth. So this was changed. It's now a 4.5mm lug versus a 5mm lug on the Xodus 11, which we'll talk about in more depth as we go over the outsole. Finally, I do want to also let you know that I have about almost 53 miles in these shoes. I've been using them for a couple of weeks. And as you can tell, they are quite dirty. So yeah, I use my shoes. So let's move on to the upper of the Xodus Ultra. It is definitely a redesigned upper, completely revamped. This is now a new last that they use to form the actual upper of the shoe. It's supposed to be roomier, provide a little bit more comfort as you go into those ultra distances, you know, hence the name, Xodus Ultra. It's, you know, it feels pretty good. The lockdown is a little bit hard to get really dialed into your liking, at least for me, and I've seen it mentioned from other people too. I can get the lockdown pretty good in the heel, but it took quite a few times to get it in the front, in the forefoot of the shoe here. And I think a big part of that has to do with the lacing system. As you can see, it has a webbing type eyelet on the shoe now instead of a standard eyelet, and it's kind of hard. The lace can move up and down as well, and it's kind of hard to get that lockdown, really good, snug fitting, just secure feeling that you like on trail. And I did have to retie these a couple of times. So keep that in mind. You know, you may need to retie until you really get that dialed in. But for the ultra distance, I think that's gonna be a good thing. You know, a lot of times if you're looking for a 100-mile shoe, you might wanna go like a half size bigger because your feet do swell. I don't think you'll need to do that with these. I think these will fit just fine. And the toe box with the redesigned upper is definitely a little bit more accommodating. It's a little bit wider, you can see. It definitely allows a little bit of room for those toes to kind of wiggle around a little bit. I had no issues, no hot spots with any of my toes, no rubbing. I was quite comfortable even on, you know, 4-hour, 5-hour runs. A great feature about the Xodus Ultra that I really like is this debris shield on the front. It's kind of hard to see, but if you take a look, there is a debris shield here where it's designed to keep out those finer pieces of silt and debris and tiny rocks to keep them from getting inside your shoe. And it works, it does a really good job. Now obviously it's not gonna keep everything out, but it did work pretty well. Combined with the gator clip in the front, if you wanna wear gaiters, I think these are gonna be a great shoe in a really sandy, kind of dusty environment, which again is only gonna help in those ultra distances. Underneath of that debris shield, we have the tongue, and the tongue on the Xodus Ultra is really nice. I actually like it quite a lot. It's just a little bit thicker maybe than the Peregrine 12, and it provides just enough protection to your foot as you tie those laces, get that shoe locked down like we talked about, it does keep your foot from feeling any of that over top, and it just feels really nice. It is semi-gusseted also to help it from sliding around back and forth and feeling nice and secure as you're running up those hills or down those steep mountain descents. Another big improvement of the Xodus Ultra versus the Xodus 11 is the breathability. So this upper as a whole is just, it's much thinner, it's more breathable, there's less cushioning, less padding in the upper, and it definitely shows in hot environments. So if you live somewhere where it's pretty warm, I think this is gonna be a fantastic shoe for you. And you can see the breathability is pretty decent. You know, I put the hair dryer on low and that tissue goes up, you know, pretty decently. And on high, it went up really well, showing the breathability is pretty darn good. On the trails here in Tennessee, you know, right now it's been in the mid 80s. It's been pretty hot, humid and nasty. I got these soaking wet. As you can tell, they're still nasty, and they did really well. You know, they breathed pretty decently and they dried even after getting wet, so I was very happy with that. Moving around to the heel cup of the upper here, we can see that it definitely has a lot less cushioning than the Xodus 11, but it is still you know, decently cushioned. There's a good amount there. I did have one run, and I think this was just due to me trying to get that lockdown really secure. The heel did feel a little, it caused a hot spot on the back of my heel, that's all I can say. I was a little concerned that it might do the same thing that the Peregrine 12 did, how it kind of rubbed a raw spot in the shoe and then also in my foot. But this last run I did was a little over 4 hours, 21 miles, a good bit of vert. I had it nice and secure. I didn't have any issues on the heel. So I think that'll be okay, but I am gonna pay attention to that going forward because there's not a lot of cushion there. So I could maybe see that being an issue on a really, really long 100-mile ultra distance run. The heel counter in the back is incredibly stout. I mean, I'm pushing on this pretty darn good and that's not really moving. So it's a very stout heel counter. It does provide a lot of that stability. Probably, in my opinion, the best part of the shoe, that is the midsole. It is pretty darn special. The ride feels really nice underfoot, just definitely has the cushion for those ultra distance runs. It's very similar to the Saucony Endorphin Speed, Saucony Endorphin Pro, the Saucony Endorphin Edge trail shoe, has that same Power Run PB midsole. However, the midsole of the Xodus Ultra is constructed a little bit differently. Obviously, it's a trail shoe. So that Power Run PB midsole is a full length core that runs the length of the shoe. However, it's encased or enclosed in a Power Run midsole, which is that EVA midsole foam. It's enclosed in a protective housing to protect those Power Run PB beads. It's like those little expanded beads. And it just works really well and feels amazing underfoot. That Power Run frame really protects the Power Run PB midsole, gives you a little bit of added durability and some stability underfoot, and just feels really nice. I've run with these over, gosh, all sorts of East Coast trails, rocks and roots, big rocks, small rocks, dirt, mud, and just that midsole has been fantastic. It has just enough bounce to it to give you that responsiveness you want if you want to pick up the paces and run faster over technical terrain or some flatter areas or whatever you're doing. It just feels good, and it has the protection to keep you safe over those long hauls. Combined with the redesigned rock plate, all of that stack height of that wonderful cushioning is just gonna keep you protected over those ultra distances. The rock plate is a little different this year. It's actually just a little bit thinner, and it's supposed to shed water a little bit better so it won't hold that moisture in the foot. And I've run over gravel, like I said, big rocks, all kinds of things. I never had any rocks feel like they were poking up through that rock plate and jabbing my foot. It felt pretty darn comfortable, and honestly, I've got a 48-hour race coming up here in about a month, and I might be wearing these for a little bit because it's a good bit of it is on gravel. So let's go ahead and talk about the outsole of the Saucony Xodus Ultra. It is Saucony's Power Track rubber, but it is redesigned this year. So we have 3 segmented portions of that outsole. You can see obviously this forefoot. Back here, we have 2 on the rear of the shoe. And that is supposed to give a little more flexibility and some stability on the trail. And I will say, after running almost 53 miles with these, I ran on a trail that honestly, I always tweak my ankle on in any shoe that I wear. It's just, I don't know what it is. I always do it. I didn't do it with these. It felt very stable. And I gotta say that I think this segmented outsole is a big portion of that, a big part of it, and why it felt so secure. And the grip is pretty darn good. The Power Track rubber has really been, always been fantastic and durable. It always does really well on dry trails, in mud. One of the differences you'll see here too is these lugs are a little bit further spaced apart, and that's designed to help that mud, you know, that does build up on the shoe to kind of fall off a little bit easier. And the lugs are 4.5 millimeter instead of 5 millimeter versus the Xodus 11, like I mentioned. So there is a difference there. Really, the only issue with the grip on the Xodus Ultra is wet rock. And this has really been the case with any of Saucony shoes with this Power Track rubber, you know, Peregrine 12, the Endorphin Edge Trail, and now these guys here is wet rocks. It's just, you got to go slow, you got to be cautious. Pretty much, you know, wet rocks, just about any shoe, you got to be, you know, fairly cautious. But with these, it was even more so. I was finding I was wanting to find another way around, or maybe even just go through the creek instead of trying to hop on a wet rock. So just be cautious if there's wet rocks. However, pretty much anywhere else on the trail, the grip was amazing. So if you've got dry trails, if you've got roots and rocks, dry rocks, the Power Track rubber on this Xodus Ultra is gonna be phenomenal. Another great characteristic of the Power Track rubber is its durability. This is known to go for a long time. I think this outsole is gonna easily last 500 miles. It should not be a problem. So the price, let's talk about the price of the Saucony Xodus Ultra. It's gonna cost you about $150 from Saucony's website right now. And honestly, that's probably a pretty darn good price for this shoe. You get a lot for that $150. You get a lot of that maximally cushioned Power Run PB midsole, the Power Run frame. You get that protection of the rock plate. You get pretty darn good grip, and you get an upper that's going to go with you through that 100-mile race, that ultra distance. I think the Saucony Xodus Ultra is gonna surprise a lot of people. I think a lot of people are gonna come at it with that mindset of the Xodus 11, which was just so heavy and just heavy. And they're gonna come to this and be so surprised. They're gonna love it. I really enjoy it, and I will definitely continue wearing the Xodus Ultra. So I know there have been lots of requests on other shoes that I have reviewed for comparisons with the Xodus Ultra. Trust me, they will be coming probably in a few weeks, but I'm definitely gonna be comparing the Xodus Ultra to many of the other trail shoes I have. And if you've tried the Saucony Xodus Ultra, let me know below in the comments what you think of the shoe, durability that you've seen. Everybody, I'm sure, would really love to see that. But if this video was helpful, please do consider giving it a thumbs up. That really does help out tremendously. I would just really appreciate it. And if you have not already, why don't you go ahead and click the subscribe button too, and you'll see more content like this as well. And if you want to go ahead and check out that full review of the Xodus 11, it'll be on your screen over here. Go ahead and take a look at that. And then on this side will be a playlist of some shoe reviews to check out. Thank you all so much for watching. I do appreciate you all so much. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.